Hello, this is Buddy from Mr.MetaChess, and this is part 2 of our supplies video. We're going to cover the next group of supplies to play the game MetaChess. If this game is new to you, you can check out the rulebook on wargamevault.com. In the last video, we covered the first 5 items on the supply list. In this video, we're going to cover the next 5 items on the list: the chess clock, coin, combat board, dice, and dice tray. So first up, we're going to talk about the chess clock, and we prefer the app, but you can also use just a traditional chess clock. And the idea with the chess clock is it just helps the game move forward. It gives each player a time limit and can set up the time however you want. We usually recommend for beginners 60 seconds and for more experienced players 30 seconds. And there's more details in the rule book about the penalties for when the chess clock expires on a player's turn, but we'll cover that in a different video. So that covers chess clock, and next up we're going to talk about the coin. Now the coins are used for all sorts of different things throughout the game, and you can use anything from just a regular coin with the heads and tails on it. You can use poker chips. You can use the ghost tokens that are included in the appendix. It's a template that you can print out and cut out, and in this case we mounted it to little wooden blank discs. And then the tokens there on the top are custom made coins, and they're used for different things like markers to determine which A or B slot weapon or armor you're using, and it's a good idea to have a couple different types of coins for the game. Next up, we're going to talk about combat board. Now the combat board is an optional game accessory. This is an accessory that really encourages DIY. The one that I'm showing in this video is a board that I built from scratch. It's just made out of wood, but it's been painted and it has some upholstery on it. And you can build your combat board however you want. It's just nice to have because it holds your miniatures in place. The one I have here has slots for the action tokens and also acts as a storage case for dice, and it's just nice to have. If you don't have a combat board, that's perfectly fine. You can still play the game. But in this video, I'm just going to show kind of the one that I built here. So you'll keep this off to the side of your chessboard, and whenever you engage in combat, you'll pull your miniatures from the chessboard and put it on the combat board. So this one I have has 6 different slots and then 2 places for dice. And then the center area with the felt and the upholstery is the dice tray. So mine is designed to hold 10mm dice, but you can also make one to hold larger dice. The smaller dice just fit in there nicely. And then of course there's a slot to hold your miniatures, and the slot just has to be drilled to hold whatever the diameter of your miniature's base is. And then whenever you're engaged in combat, you'll select your 2 actions for player 1 and player 2, and you'll place them with heads up so both players can't tell which action has been declared. And then as you declare actions, you flip your action token, roll your appropriate dice, and then you'll have offensive and defensive actions. And we'll get into more detail about how combat works in the game. This video is just focused on the supplies. So my combat board, it has a nice rubber base, so it's kind of grippy on the table. I have a game case that I built that actually holds the combat board and all of the miniatures for player 1 and player 2. Again, it's not totally required for the game, but it's just something nice to have. You can store some of the other accessories, your profile cards or your meditation cards in there. And it just looks nice. It's a cool accessory to build. It's actually a lot of fun to kind of customize it. And if you make your own combat board, please send us photos because we'd love to see your creativity and see what you come up with. And you can build this out of anything. You could build out of cardboard. It could be kind of an origami thing. It could be just a game mat that has graphics printed on it that just kind of designates where you put your miniatures, and you could have your dice tray separately. My combat board here it's doing several different things for the game at one time, so I don't have to have a separate dice tray. whenever combat is engaged, I have a nice dedicated space on the game table where all the parts and pieces are consolidated, and it just makes the game table look nice and it keeps things organized. But again, it's completely optional. Next up on the list, we're going to talk about dice. Now, dice is one of the first parts of the game that I included in the rule book that was really part of the inspiration for MetaChess. I just love the idea of playing chess, the traditional sort of engine of chess, but then also having this dice component. So for the game, you're going to need a bunch of dice. You're going to need a full set of RPG dice, one set for each player. It's really helpful to have color-coded dice so that you can tell which player is making the roll during combat. The RPG dice are mostly used during combat for weapons and armor, and also during pre-game. In addition to RPG dice, you'll also need a set of rapid-fire dice, one set for each player. So this is 4 d6, 3 small d6, and 1 large d6. The smaller dice are for rolling, the large one is your counter. You'll just set this off to the side of the combat board, and you'll only use these 4 d6 dice during rapid-fire actions. And we'll get into how that works in a separate video. And then this is optional, but it's something that just looks nice on the game table, and it's just kind of a personal preference, but these are vitality dice. These go on each of the profile cards, and it will track the health or the vitality for each of the miniatures on your team. So the pawns of the proletariat are going to get a d6. The aristocrats, which is your rooks, knights, and bishops, are going to get a d8. And then the royalty, which is your kings and queens, get the d12. So you'll start off during the game setup with the highest number, and then as vitality is depleted, you'll just rotate the dice to track the health. It's an optional accessory. If you laminate your profile cards, you can use a dry erase marker. Set up your cards with the vitality, and then as vitality is depleted, just update the number throughout the game. This is another reason why laminating your cards is really handy. If you don't laminate, that's okay. You can just print your cards on regular paper, and then you would just use a regular pencil to erase out the numbers and update accordingly as your vitality is depleted. And last on the list, we'll talk about the dice tray. The nice thing about building a combat board is it acts as a dice tray and a holder for your miniatures. So if you don't have a combat board, you would just use a separate dice tray. It has kind of a utilitarian purpose. It just keeps dice from knocking over anything on the game table. There's a lot going on in MetaChess. It's a big setup. And you just have to be careful throughout the game not to bump vitality dice and things that are going on the chessboard. So the dice tray is just a nice way to keep the dice in a dedicated spot on your game table. Basically, if you don't build a combat board, then you'll need a dice tray. If you have a combat board, you'll want to design a dice tray into that. But if you don't build one, the dice tray is just a nice way to keep the game table tidy and keep rogue dice throws from knocking things over on the game table. So that does it for this video. In part 3, we're going to talk about the flags, ghost tokens, notation sheet, objectives reference card, and the writing tools. If you are interested in purchasing the game rulebook, go ahead and check out wargamevault.com. You can preview the first 10 pages of the game. And if you're curious about what we do here at Mr.MetaChess, visit Mr.MetaChess.com. If you have any questions or feedback, go ahead and leave a comment. And thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great day.